Sport is many things. Something to learn, something to enjoy, something to win. I'm here at the King Power Stadium, home of newly promoted Leicester City Football Club. This here was my dream. Wasn't my destiny. Many dream to be part of the elite, to become great in their chosen sport. This team are about to embark on their journey into the Premier League, and to think I once had a contract here. Some can't handle the pressures at the top, some persevere and still come up short. Only 1 in 100 make it. I'm interested in the 99 that don't. This is Helen. For many years, it looked as if she was going to rise to the top as she rapidly climbed up the tennis ranks. Here you see her in her hometown, back playing on her childhood court, but a few years ago, things were a little bit different.
Congratulations, Helen, on retaining your title as the Leicestershire County Close champion. How did you feel the match went for you?
Pretty well. Hit the ball well.
Did you expect to win as comfortably as that?
No.
No, you played exceptionally.
After winning numerous titles and Junior Wimbledon, an opportunity was handed to Helen to play tennis in America.
As the whole package sounds, it sounds amazing. So he put me in contact with the coach out there. He then said he would come out over here and visit me in Melton. So he came over and stayed a couple of nights, showed him around Melton, got to know him, he got to know me, saw me play tennis, and we started the application. And at the time it sounded perfect. And when I was there, I got there and broke down. It just wasn't for me. The whole thing just wasn't for me. But I didn't have the heart to tell them at the time because they invested so much money in me. Tennis just wasn't a priority in my life right at that moment. And there was other things going on. I was growing up. I was a 17-year-old girl. Like, you've got other things on your mind. My commitment, it was wavering. Looking at their schedule and talking to some of the girls when they go out in tournaments, they were pretty much controlling what you were eating and drinking. And I like my food, I like my drink. I couldn't do it. And I don't know how they do it for 4 years because I'd just burn out. You wouldn't feel good, you wouldn't feel physically healthy or mentally healthy. And it was just so much pressure. Closest family didn't really take it too well. They thought it was an amazing opportunity, how could you turn it down? But they're not me. They don't know how I was feeling, how I felt at the time. So yeah, it was difficult to try and make them see where I was coming from. So yeah, it was a difficult time.
One person that did take the offer and move away to America, despite the difference in training, was footballer Mitchell White.
When I first got out there, we had double sessions in 30-degree weather, which was a killer. But in the morning, I used to get up at 5 o'clock for training at 6. That'd be the first session, 6 till 8. I'd go back, I'd sleep as long as I could until the next training session that usually started at 2 till 4. So that was usually my day in pre-season. Then when classes started as well and the season actually started, we'd either obviously get up for a 9:15 or a 9:30 class, finish around 3 o'clock, go and get some food, come back, and it'd be training again for another 2 hours. It was definitely a shock to the system, doing 2 training sessions a day, some at 6 AM, some later, especially in the heat when it was summer. I wasn't used to So it was hard, but once you get break through that barrier and you get used to it, it's good. And once you're with the lads, everyone does it as a team, everyone spurs everyone on. It's good, but when you first get out there, it's very hard, but it's just how mentally strong you are to get through it and carry on. It's just something I've always loved, whether it be a stress reliever or just something to do when you're bored. It's always something I've done, I've always had a passion for it, I've always loved it. I've made most of my friends through football. Half the people I know through football, and half the people I get to start talking to is because of football. If they don't play football or like football, usually there's not a conversation that I have with people. So it's always been something I've loved and enjoyed, and I can't really have regrets from anything when I'm doing something I love. America's just something where I suppose you can do what you love, you're playing football, and still get an education from it. Whereas in England it's usually either one or the other. You don't really get money for being an athlete and your academics, whereas over in America you do. So, and plus the lifestyle's just amazing, and I thought if I'm going to spend this much money, I'd rather spend it in somewhere like New York.
For Mitchell, America was the right option. He can play football with a chance of gaining a pro contract, but still gain qualifications in case he doesn't make it. Why don't they offer this opportunity in England?
Education provision, if it's useless while players are there, as our evidence suggests, then you've got to improve the support when players are released. Perhaps help them get education then. And at the end of the day, they'd only be 2 years behind. I don't think that's the end of the world. So you could actually, they could go back and do A-levels, they could go back and do a BTEC and something like that. So I think, in answer to your question, I'm not sure that it's because they are run poorly. There are improvements to be made, no doubt, but it's the structure and it's the tradition of everybody wants a youth team. And if we want to stick with that, we have to accept that there's probably going to be high wastage. However, the hardest thing about that is it's okay having the policies in place, but how do those policies play out in reality? And the reality is when you're 16 or 17 or 18 and you're in a football academy, you have to be seen to be thinking of nothing else but football. Coaches want to see that. Coaches want to see that you are committed to being a footballer, that you're giving it everything you've got, day in, day out. And it's almost a taboo subject to talk openly about, well, what if I don't make it? And the view is, well, if you're thinking like that, clearly you're not thinking on football 100%. So I think behind closed doors, perhaps when they're in the changing room on their own, boys will discuss what they might do if they don't make it. In front of a coach, I don't think they will want to talk about that. They want to show the coach that they are willing to do anything to make it as a professional footballer, and that means not talking about what they might do.
Even though Helen turned down a move to America, she was still winning match after match in England. However, something happened which meant that she didn't pick up a racket for over a year.
My mother passed away in 2010, and that had a huge effect on me. She went around with me everywhere, to all the tournaments, she was always there. And to lose her, it just felt, it wasn't the same. It was never going to be the same. I just felt like I couldn't do it alone because she was just always there. And it was, I remember after she passed away, I played a tournament 2 weeks later, and my family persuaded me to play. And it was in Nottingham, and I remember turning up and everyone knew what had happened and all my coaches were there, and I remember them standing there watching, and it was just, there were so many people behind me, but it felt like no one was there because she wasn't there. She was the one that inspired me to play. She got me into it, and to not have her there, it just didn't seem right. Just hope that she'd be proud and of the decisions I've made, because I've taken a completely different path to what she would have wanted. Well, not wanted, but she had in mind for me.
You took time out of tennis. What's it feel like to be back here and playing as a hobby and not as a full-time profession?
It's good. I enjoy it a lot more. I felt when I was actually playing a lot of tennis and training a lot, there was a lot of pressure on me to sort of perform, but for me it's just a hobby now. I did all of that and I couldn't do it. I find it difficult.
It's hard to describe why I loved it so much, and that's why it's such a difficult question, just because it felt like it was part of me. Taking this new path that keeps me busy, I don't really have time to sort of look back, but when I look at them, it is a good feeling. I have I'm proud of what I've done and what I've achieved, and I don't regret doing it, the lifestyle I chose. But yeah, it does make me remember
Think, what
things.
if?
Yeah, it does. And I do sometimes think, what if this happened, what if that happened? But I'm enjoying what I do now, so I can't think like that.
Helen now plays tennis solely for fun and regularly goes for rallies with her friends. She is now studying to be a nurse.
So what?
Hi, I'm Helen.
Hello.
I play tennis.
Hello, I love tennis.
Mitchell is still in America and he's about to start his second season playing for Herkimer Generals. He is set to captain the side next year. Sport is many things. For most, it is a hobby. For few, it is their job. For some reason or another, 99 out of 100 people don't make it to the top. But what is important is that sport is always there to be played.